Welcome back to the Angry Man Podcast with Jason and Greg. So, Jay, we are going to revisit this whole situation with Jaron Ennis. Eddie Hearn did a video earlier today with FightHype.com, and he talked a little bit about that situation, but he added a little bit of a tidbit there that I thought was important because I think it puts Jaron Ennis in a situation that he's going to have to make a big fight in his next fight. At 147, it's going to have to be a unified fight, and I think that bodes well for Brian Norman Jr., actually. So, Jay, I'm going to play this clip. It is from Fight Hype. Probably play about a minute or so of it because I want people to understand what it is we're reacting to, and then we'll go from there. So let me pull it up here quickly. Share my screen. I love sharing my screen so people can't say that this is stuff that we're just pulling out of the thin blue air because they like to say that. Here we go. This is Mr. Eddie Hearn, and we're going to play probably about 60 to 90 seconds of this, and then we'll react.
Against the Boots fight, when we received the initial offer, it was at 147 pounds, which surprised me. And I went back to those guys to double check, and then they confirmed no, it was at 154. I then spoke to Boots and said, you need to make a decision. Are we moving to 54 or are we staying to unify at 147? And he sort of said to me, well, how long have I got to make a decision? I said, about 24 hours, 48 hours. And he said, I want to unify at 147. That's what I want to do. So I know that everybody loves that fight, but whilst it's in a different weight class, it's not something we're going to do now. You will see Boots in a massive fight at 147 next. You can take this to the bank. He will not be moving to 154 and fighting somebody else. We had to make a decision then and there about what he wants to do next, and his decision was to stay and unify at 147. That's what will happen next. And yeah, I think it got...
So we can stop it there, Jay, because I think that was the important points that I wanted to make. We can take it to the bank. He's going to be unifying at 147 pounds. So what does that mean? I think that bodes well for Brian Norman Jr. Here's why. They were negotiating at some point, right? We all know that. We're all quite aware of that. Brian Norman Jr. and team, and I said this before, we had Adrian Clark on the show. You are going to leverage where you currently are today, right, to get what you would perceive as your best offer, right? And I felt that Brian Norman Jr. and team were in a great position to really negotiate from a position of power because Boots was getting ready to fight Karan again. It wasn't a really desirable fight. It was an opportunity to unify the titles. And a lot of people talked about what Brian Norman made in the past. That does not matter. The scope of that particular fight is what really mattered in the situation that Boots was in. Now that Virgil Ortiz, that situation has fell through, and you have people that are calling Jaron Ennis a duck. I don't feel that Boots is a duck whatsoever, but people do feel that he is ducking, and it doesn't look good. The only thing that's going to suffice for fans is that he's unifying the title and doing exactly what it was he said he was going to do. Now, you're going to have people, you're going to have the naysayers that are going to say whatever it is that they're going to say. But that has put him in a situation where he has to make that fight. And if I'm Brian Norman Jr. and Brian Norman Sr. and Adrian Clark, I know that you got to make that fight. You are motivated to make that fight because of the situation, which means he's going to have to concede dollars. And I believe that that fight will probably get made. And there's been some rumblings that they're currently negotiating. I don't know if that's true or not. I don't like to, reach out to people and ask those questions because they're not going to tell us if they're negotiating or not. But yeah, it's a situation that I think bodes well for that particular fight, and I think it bodes well for Brian Norman Jr. Jay, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's interesting on that. He also said that, it's going to be looking for a unification, but it's, if not a unification, a massive fight. Well, we know he got Conor Ben with him as well. So that could be the only other thing outside of those champions that could be a massive fight at 147. I'm not. So I
didn't interpret it as him saying or a massive fight. I interpreted it as it will be 147 and it will be a massive fight, not or. That's how I interpreted it.
Yeah, he said a little bit more after that. So he made it seem like he was going to be. He looks at a massive fight also as not just always being a champion. Although we want him to be a champion, I would love that Brian Norman fight. I think it'd be a good one. Eddie also mentioned Mario Barrios, Stan Jonas. We know Stan Jonas already has kind of locked in.
Yeah, I assume they would
locked in elsewhere as well. So on that. So Brian Norman is the biggest one there, really. I mean, like you said, they were just in negotiations not too many months ago.
He's the more reasonable target.
It should be an easy setup for him. It's right there for him. You know, they know what the Normans want as far as pay. You know,
they're gonna want more now.
Yeah, they're gonna want more now. I'm not mad at him too for playing it that way, but you know it's all right there. So let's get that done. Anyone give a time frame when he's trying to get done? But he did say Boots will be back probably March, April. So that's not what Boots really wanted. You know, it's just not a good situation. The way everything is falling out for him right now, having to fight Karan, having to fight David Avenesian, you know, and all this stuff here, and now not being able to get the fight with Brian Norman because of the whole issue about some $100,000 or something like that. You know, it wasn't like he was asked for a lot of millions extra. You know what I'm saying? So they need each other right now. You know, no one wants to see Brian Norman Jr. fight someone else that's not like a contender, that's a mandatory or anything like that, or number one, number two. So we want to see this fight here. Brian Norman Jr., Boots, get it on. If not, I got a sneaky feeling that it might be Ben possibly, because I know he was also trying to posture Ben to be fighting Barrios. So I'm like, if you can get Ben to try to fight Barrios, you should be able to get Boots in there for Barrios instead. You know, so I think those are the three fighters that's probably in play for Boots for this massive deal that Eddie's talking about. Brian Norman Jr., Ben, Barrios. Those are my three thoughts on now, or guesses on that. And who knows? None of them might not happen.
Yeah, and let me clarify, because when I said Brian Norman Jr., my focus was there because they had already negotiated. Of course, a unification bout. Yeah, a unification bout between those other fighters, the Mario Barrioses. Yeah, I guess that's the way you would say it, right? And God, I lost the guy's name right now.
Stanionis.
Yeah, Stanionis. Those are potential fights, right? But those are fights that have fell through as well. Felt like they were kind of close to making the Brian Norman fight, and that's the reason why I think they would circle back to that. Plus, there's been some rumblings in regards to that particular fight. That's why I focused on that. But certainly those other fights can be made. I don't think Ben is going to be a fight that's going to be quote unquote massive and that people will accept. I think the only thing people are going to accept is a unification fight. And I think the most reasonable one that people will really be interested in seeing him in the ring with is Brian Norman, just because of the back and forth that we saw between those two gentlemen. So I think more than likely that's the path that they're going to go. And it's going to put Brian Norman Jr. and Sr. in more of a position of power. That's my estimation, but we'll see. You guys, let us know what you think in the comment section in regards to this interesting stuff that's going on currently with Jaron Ennis. Hopefully we see a unification fight next, and then that's the next step for him to become unified or undisputed at 147. Let us know what you think. Don't forget to hate, like, comment, and subscribe. This is the Angry Man Podcast, M Sports Media, and we are out.